Hello and welcome to my brief analysis of some key issues to look out for in this weekend's NRL Grand Final between the Brisbane Broncos and the Melbourne Storm. The 2025 NRL Final looks like it will be an excellent game. Now, before we go any further, please, if you like this video, please press subscribe on this YouTube channel. My name's Addison and I'm of rugbyleaguecoach.com.au if you want to have a look at any of our content, but I'm not going to bore you with any of that stuff today. I'm going to get straight into the analysis. Now, last week, I outlined a way that Cronulla could expose something in the Melbourne Storm defence, and would you know it, the Melbourne Storm actually fixed that issue straight away at the start of the game. So the Cronulla side didn't have to look into that area, but I think this one will be harder for Brisbane Broncos to avoid. I'm going to give Melbourne something that I've noticed this week because I did try and get Cronulla Sharks some meters and points last week. So if you'd allow me to, I will share my screen. Hopefully you can see a bright orange screen. Now, this is called How the Storm Can Create Havoc in the Broncos' Defence. I'm also going to say it's a way that the Melbourne Storm can neutralise Payne Haas. On their own goal line, the Broncos had quite an emphatic up and in defence. Here you can see the right second rower with the yellow boots has already turned his hips in quite significantly. Penrith ran some strange shapes. I've got to be honest, they didn't look comfortable to me in attack all throughout the game on Sunday. But if you imagine Azaio running into a hole on the other side of our number 12 here, so number 13 Azaio in the pink for Penrith, and of course the number 10 as well. Like I said, to have a prop out there as well just shows that Penrith are moving people around in their attacking formation, and I think sometimes they just got confused with that. This is a bit further on in the play. As you can see, the distance here, I think this is Katoni Staggs with his hips turned in, with the yellow boots on, and there's big holes in between. So look out for Brisbane's up and in defence on the edges. Look how far away the right wing is from Katoni Staggs here. If Penrith are looking to exploit this, they need to have direct runners, and this is what the Melbourne Storm need to do when they're in good ball this weekend, when they're up the opposite end of the field, when they're at the Brisbane Broncos end of the field. Direct hole running into these holes, and I think they'll find some joy because it will make Broncos second guess their defence. Here, they are really good with numbers. The way they are set up, their numbers are fine. On the short side, if you like, which is only just a short side, because Penrith have set up on what we call a past post scenario with their play the ball, there is 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders covering that space, which is fine. And even the marker, one of the markers can go in that direction too. But showing the problems that the Broncos had with their defensive line on this next play, they turned in too much and they got exposed on the edge. Michael Maguire obviously got the message out there, and what happened a bit later, these defenders here, instead of turning in and trying to rush the Penrith attack, what they did was just hold and hang back. So it's different phases of the game that you need to think about. So I would suggest the Melbourne Storm use hole runners and go to edges very early, and then when the defence holds and hangs back, then you play through and go and try and play inside and short lead options then. So Brisbane Broncos, very spaced out defence when they defend their own goal line. Some direct running, some good lines, some angles of run will pay dividends. Now, Payne Haas, in my opinion, one of the greatest front rowers I've ever seen. I think he will go down as one of the best front rowers that we have ever seen. And I also think that he deserves a lot of praise for playing the full 80 minutes. Now, he is going to be like a dog with two appendages this week, ready to play what could be one of the biggest games of his life. And therefore, Melbourne need to give him some attention. And I'm going to outline some of the attention I think they should give him. This is only 10 minutes into the game. This is Payne Haas here defending, and he's already behind the line in and around the ruck area. And you'll also notice Payne Haas is also sat down, what we call in the chair. He's also planted his feet. His feet are nice and wide, and his feet are heels down in the ground. And that means he can't move as a defender. He's basically waiting for Dylan Edwards' run. And Penrith didn't look at this very much. Here's what Melbourne need to be aiming to get at some point either late in the first half or early in the second half if Haas stays on the field. This is what they're looking for. This is a brief video. As you will see here, Payne has already started to sit in the chair. He's already planted. He's made his position stationary, whereas other players are in motion. This player next to him inside, who I can't identify, is in motion. And Payne was very stationary then. I'll just play that again so you can see it. Look how he gets stood up. See how he had to change direction then? And that what Melbourne need to do is put numbers around Payne for a period of the game, maybe for 5-10 minutes, just really make him work in the first half to make him defend. Because if they do that, they'll eventually end up with this scenario. So here's the carry before. Here's Payne stuck here now on his own. He started to sit a little bit again. He's now outside, though. He's outside his second rower. One of the things he does is roam around the field quite a lot rather than staying in channel. And his work rate is outstanding. But because he planted, look at this passive tackle he's come up with. If you can get Payne Haas doing this a lot earlier, if you can get him to move around the field, if you can throw numbers at him, then they're going to neutralize Payne Haas's movement in attack. I do believe he made 28 tackles in the first 20 or 30 minutes or something of the game. So he is used to making tackles, but just remember, sometimes when we are doing statistics in games, sometimes a tackle can be just somebody arriving a little bit later and going on top, and then that might get classed as a tackle. I'd call that a tackle, but I'm pretty convinced he didn't do 28 of them in the first 30 minutes or 20 minutes. So get Payne Haas doing some work. I'll show you this clip once more. Look how he sits. This carry leading up to this. Watch how he gets stepped because he plants early. This is a bit earlier in the game again. So this is now what I'm showing you is how it develops over the course of the game. So Payne has sat again nice and early. The attacker has a two-handed carry and he's hopefully going to put some footwork on. The Penrith numbers are too far behind him, though. So if you throw some numbers at Payne, then he will start to have some issues. Here he is a bit later in the half. Look how far he is behind the line. Even somebody scooting from dummy half, your Harry Grants, your Cameron Munsters, your back five, they can have so much joy if they utilise and exploit Payne Haas for this, because he does it so regularly. Here, I'll take my picture out of the screen. Look how much space there is because of the Broncos up and in defence. Look how much space there is outside Payne Haas, but look how stationary Penrith are. So if they use him as a target in their attacking line, then yes, there'll be some pain early, excuse the pun, because he will whack, but then after that, he's going to get fatigued. This is the second half. Here he is, well behind the line, but Penrith just didn't go to him at all. If anything, I think what happened was that Payne went looking for some tackles and his work rate was great. This is no disrespect to Payne Haas, but I think for a period of 10 minutes, maybe in each half, they really need to work him over because he's such a threat with the ball. He could cause Melbourne problems. Like I said earlier, if you want to hear more from me, please press subscribe on this YouTube channel. Also, please have a look at rugbyleaguecoach.com.au. Enjoy the grand final, whoever your team is, and I hope if you wanted to get tickets, you got some. Take care.